talk about the chaos at the Sabarimala Ayyappa temple. There's been an overwhelming surge of devotees, and add to that complete mismanagement, causing a near stampede-like situation. Over 1 lakh pilgrims arrived in the first 48 hours alone, more than double the usual crowd. And so there's been absolute panic among devotees. They've been struggling to make their way through what is usually a 15-minute wait. Went on for 15 hours, which is why the Kerala High Court also pulled up the state government as well as the Travancore Devaswom Board for mismanaging the crowd, warning that a disaster is imminent if the situation is not immediately brought under control. Now you've got the Kerala government finally stepping in and ensuring adequate deployment on ground, but this should have been done from the get-go itself. And joining us live is the Kerala BJP chief, Mr. Rajeev Chandrasekhar. Mr. Rajeev Chandrasekhar, thank you very much for your time. Look, what's happened in Sabarimala right now? Is it that we're seeing unprecedented crowds, or is it poor management, poor organization to you, Mr. Rajeev Chandrasekhar?
No, I mean, look, I can't believe for a moment anybody who has ever been to Sabarimala, especially at this time of the year, would ever call this unprecedented, because this is the peak season of Sabarimala, November, December, January. And it is, I mean, blaming the crowds for the crisis and the catastrophe is really one of the most bizarre things that I've heard. This is absolutely 100% unambiguous negligence, lack of planning, incompetence, whatever you want to call it. But it is certainly the Devaswom Board and the government of Kerala that is responsible for the Devaswom Board, that is squarely responsible for doing this to the thousands and hundreds of thousands of devotees who have gathered there at this very, very important and very, very spiritual time of the year.
So you've also had the Kerala High Court, Mr. Rajeev Chandrasekhar, speak about this today, warning that a disaster could happen unless immediate steps are taken to ensure adequate preparations on ground. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember similar images coming in last year too from Sabarimala of the chaos that broke out, of devotees having to wait for hours together. Is this a recurring issue? And if it is, who do you blame in this?
No, this is not just a recurring issue. This is not just for the last 2 years. I have worshipped at Sabarimala for 19 years on a trot, except for the floods. And this is almost all the time. This is not just 2 years. This is not just CPM government. This predates the CPM government. Even during the Women Chandi government, the cries and the calls for improving the facilities, improving the safety, improving the conditions for these lakhs of devotees that are coming from all over the country has been made, has been heard. But throughout these last 10, 15 years, there has been absolutely no interest, no response of any kind by the government, excepting for these cosmetic things that they do. And certainly in this particular government, Pinarayi Vijayan's government, they've taken it to the next level, where just a few months ago, they had the gall to organize an Ayyappa Sangamam with taxpayer money, where no Bhakta showed up, but they were celebrating Ayyappa and they were celebrating Sabarimala as a global center for spirituality, and I'm using their words. And this is the kind of hypocrisy that is visible in Kerala. And it's almost as if, and I'm sorry to say this is not something that I usually say, it's almost as if this is one community, one religion that is being picked out for this kind of negligence. I don't see this happening with anybody else. I see this happening consistently to Hindu places of worship, to Hindu worshippers. And I hate to bring religion into this conversation, but it has to be said that this is not happening anywhere else. It is not happening to anybody else of any other faith.
Now, what comes to my mind is that we're constantly seeing these issues with Sabarimala. You joined me a few weeks ago on the show where we spoke about another controversy that had plagued Sabarimala, in which, of course, there was all of this talk about gold loot. Is this a question of bad management, or is it ultimately one issue, one core issue of corruption?
Akshita, with the greatest of respect, I think using the phrases like bad management is letting these people off the hook. And I think that is part of the reason that they have developed these thick skins and they don't care. For the last 10, 15 years, this is a cycle that has been repeating itself. Whether the gold is being stolen, whether the traditions of Sabarimala are being disrupted, distorted, as in 2018, or as you see every year during this period, worshippers are put through this type of torture. This is a cycle that keeps repeating itself. And this is not about bad management. This is criminal negligence. This is incompetence at best, criminal negligence at worst. And at the heart of all this is a deep-rooted belief, I am presuming. Sorry, I don't have evidence to this, but there is absolute empirical evidence. There is a deep-rooted belief in these two political parties of the Congress and CPM that somehow the Hindu faith and Hindu believers will silently tolerate this. There will never be any blowback. Now, if this was being done in any other place of worship, I can assure you there would be mayhem on the streets. But this is almost like a pre-agreed to belief on the part of the CPM and the Congress, who have, they have governed Kerala for many, many years alternately, that as long as this is a Hindu place of worship, anything can happen, anything, we'll get away with anything. And all we need to do is have one token Ayyappa Sangamam and sing platitudes 2 months before the election. But I think that time is gone. I think people are really angry. And if you see some of the responses from the Bhakts who are there in Sabarimala now, and I can tell you for a fact that many of them have spoken to me, emailed me, messaged me, there is great deal of anger. It is no longer sorrow and pain. There is a great deal of anger and angst about the way Sabarimala is being dealt with and treated by this government and Pinarayi Vijayan.
You speak of emotions that devotees are going through, and many of them have, you say, spoken to you also about this. But looking at the current situation in the Sabarimala temple, and the fact that, this isn't a board that's run out of money or any of that. They've got ample funds, ample backing. To you, in this kind of a situation, Mr. Rajeev Chandrasekhar, who really should be held accountable in the government?
Look, in 2015, the current Chief Minister, Pinarayi Vijayan, was the opposition leader. And when he was speaking about a corruption scam of the Congress party, he said his famous words. He said, those in public life and in government must have a sense of accountability and responsibility to the people. And if they fail, if they have a little bit of shame, they should resign. These are his words. I am translating his Malayalam into English, but this is precisely what he said in 2015 in terms of those being in government and their accountability and resigning if they have shame when they were confronted with failures. Today, the same Chief Minister is presiding over government that has not only been accused of, but is seen with his hands in the cookie jar with 4.5 kilos of gold stolen and missing from Sabarimala, 25 crores of money missing from Guruvayur temple, and hundreds of acres of land of temples suddenly gone missing and being encroached. And he has forgotten his own famous words that if there is a sense of accountability and shame while you are in government, while you are accountable for the Devaswom Board under Article 25, you should resign. But they will not resign because for them this is just another thing to push under the carpet, spin through a few reels and few posts on Facebook and continue moving forward with their old style politics. But I want to say with all sense of responsibility, Akshita, and you may think that I'm being over the top aggressive in this one, but I'm not. This politics came to an end and has come to an end this year. People today in Kerala want this to stop. They don't want one particular faith and one particular community to be taking the brunt of all the criminal negligence, of all the corruption and all the incompetence that these politicians have given over the last many decades.
Are you then, Mr. Rajeev Chandrasekhar, suggesting that the government, that the Pinarayi Vijayan government will ultimately pay the price in the elections next year?
I am not a big man for predicting things, but I certainly know the pulse of the people of Kerala. I can see that from what people are saying in Sabarimala, the anger, the angst, and the belief that Pinarayi Vijayan has or the Congress party has that somehow people will forget, people will move on, people will forget the pain and indignity that they were subjected to because these parties will come up with some fresh proposition that I believe will be demolished in these coming elections and in the coming years. The
Okay.
time for accountable politics is here in Kerala. And I think people see all around them, all around the country today, people electing governments that are accountable, that are delivering, that are, serving the people of their states, whether it's Bihar, whether it's Maharashtra, whether it's Haryana. And I think it's time that we got that change in Kerala as well. This is enough of this nonsensical, incompetent politics that has been dished out to Malayalis for the last 35, 40 years.
Let's see if that actually happens in Kerala in the upcoming elections. But this also touches upon an issue naturally, that perhaps we're just never ready for massive events, for mass events. And we've seen stampede like situations, stampedes break out in so many of these kind of events. Right now, the government has taken steps to ensure that there are adequate measures put in place in Sabarimala, and we hope that actually helps in controlling the chaos. Thanks very much, Mr. Rajeev Chandrasekhar, for taking the time out and joining us here on India Today.